Welcome to the Atheist in Recovery podcast, where we talk about finding hope in recovery. And now your host, Dr. Adina Silvestri.
Hello, guys, and welcome to episode 20 of the Atheists in Recovery podcast. And today is a solo episode. Today we are talking about 5 tips to survive Thanksgiving sober. So how do you survive Thanksgiving sober? If you're someone that is new to recovery, you survive it with a plan. If you're someone that's been in recovery for a while, you survive it with a plan. I feel like anytime you are going into a situation where old habits can resurface pretty easily, whether it's food addiction or alcohol or drug addiction, whatever the addiction may be, love addiction, you need to take some time and listen. Listen to your body, listen to your mind, notice the chatter, ask for guidance. Anyway, I thought that this would be a good episode to do right as we enter the holiday season. And let's get to our list. And so there are 5 tips, and I think that they're all important. But number 5 is probably my favorite, and I'll get there in a second. It's important, I find, to listen to your body. You know, it's especially during the holidays where there are so many expectations. You know, it's okay to have a compassionate nose. You know, it's okay to have healthy boundaries. All right, let's get started. Number 1, go into it knowing you will not drink. Okay. Drinking, like all drugs, does not start with an action. You know, it starts with emotion and thought. It's the motivation behind the action that we're getting at, right? So we have to look. Let's look at our chatter. Are we on the fence as to whether or not we will drink this holiday season? Well, we might need to jump off the fence. We have to decide whether we're going to drink or not drink. And decide if this is going to be a sober holiday or not before you show up at mom's or dad's or Aunt Fran's or Uncle Billy's. Decide beforehand, long beforehand, and come up with a plan. You know, the strength will come from making that decision. So make up your mind now that you're going to eliminate drinking on Thanksgiving or maybe the entire holiday season. Decide now. Decide what you're going to do, because it's that not knowing that puts us in a vulnerable place. All we need is that trigger, and that's going to set the old habits in motion, and it's going to be so much more difficult to come back from that. So decide now. Number 2, have your toolbox ready. Identify 5 things that will bring you happiness. I have an AIR newsletter that I send out on Sundays at 11 a.m. and I'm a sucker for tools, and I always try and put some tools in each newsletter. And also I use them myself. These are not things that I just prescribe because I think that they work. I mean, they do work, but depending on who you are, my tools aren't always going to work for you, right? And vice versa. So try out a bunch of different tools. So for instance, I have lavender everywhere. I have lavender pumping in my office. I love scents. Scents are just like the number one way, I feel like the quickest way for me to ground myself. I have this lotion called Stress Free from Aveda, and it's like walking in the woods. It's pretty amazing. And I'll put that on sometimes before I see clients, or if I'm feeling really stressed about something. Meditation, highly recommend meditation. There's so many free apps now that you can try. You know, deep breathing, 10 count of inhalation, 10 count of exhalation, exercise, a hot bath. Maybe you decide to throw a dance party in your living room, aka Tom Cruise. I don't know what your thing is, but you have to have your toolbox ready, especially if you're traveling. Make sure that you try and bring some things with you from home. Okay, number 3. You are not obliged to talk about your non-drinking to anyone. It is your choice. It is your choice. You don't ask, Uncle Billy why they're drinking. on the holidays. You don't question their behaviors. So, I feel strongly about this, that you should have a one-liner to help you out, but don't feel like you have to answer if you're not comfortable. Maybe you just pass and say, nope, I'm not drinking today. Or you have a drink already in your hand. This is what I teach my teenager clients is, have some club soda and some, I don't know, whatever else you want to put in there, some fruit to make it more festive, or, just have something in your hand already. So it won't even be a question. Or maybe you just announce that you are sober today, or you are sober, period, and deal with it, family. Whatever the one-liner is that'll help you out, I'm all for it. Remember, this is your recovery. You don't have to justify it to anyone. Okay. Number 4, have expectations in check. So there are going to be family members that are going to want to know your life story. You know who they are. Nosy Aunt Fran. Your family will push your buttons. This is, I'm sure, this is not news. They know you and they know how to push your buttons. And you have to remember that pushing your buttons has very little to do with you and everything to do with them. Maybe they're working out their own issues, but that's their problem, right? That's something that they need to work out. And so they might be projecting onto you, and so just be ready for it. Be ready for the people that push your buttons, and have an exit plan. This is their stuff. It's about them. And so if you can deflect, whatever they're coming at you with, that's great. Whenever I'm in family gatherings, I'm pretty blunt, as is my whole family. And, if I don't want to talk about something, I set a clear boundary. I appreciate you asking, but, I'm not comfortable talking about that right now. And if it gets to be too much, make sure that you have an exit plan. Maybe you decide to go for a walk. It's a little bit harder when you're at somebody else's house, right? You can't just escape to a room of your choosing or get in the car and drive, but maybe you go for a walk. Maybe you find a quiet room and, just kind of chill out and watch a movie. It's okay. You have to have your well-being. It needs to come first. That's what this journey is all about. Number 5, treat yourself. Self-care is beyond important, especially during the holiday season. We're traveling, we're out of our normal routine. We might not be sleeping as much with all the traveling. We may not be eating as well. You might be engaging in stressful relationships. Old wounds may resurface. Whatever the things are, you need to treat yourself. Maybe you schedule a massage for when you get back, or while you're traveling, maybe you schedule a massage. You can tell I'm into massages, or a pedicure or a manicure, or I don't know, maybe you go for a long run. Or one of my favorite things to do every Thanksgiving is to get some of my friends and family together, and we do a turkey trot race, generally walking. My running days are pretty much over, but it's just a great way to just be outside, get those endorphins pumping, and just kind of take a break from the norm, and just to focus inward a little bit. Okay, so let's recap. 1, go into it knowing you will not drink. You have to decide, and I would decide now if this is going to be a holiday where you drink, or if it's going to be a holiday where you are sober. 2, have your toolbox ready. Identify 5 things at least that will bring you happiness. And if you're traveling, bring them with you. Bring as many with you as you can, or have a friend at your final destination maybe pick some up for you. Your people love you. They'd be willing to do that. Number 3, you are not obliged to talk about your drinking. This is your choice. Okay. And, maybe this is the first holiday where you are sober. That's okay. If you feel comfortable, you could tell, the people that you're having Thanksgiving with ahead of time. If you're not comfortable, you just come up with a line stating why you're not drinking, or better yet, stating that you are not drinking. I'm not drinking today, thanks. Or I'm not drinking right now, whatever the thing is. 4, have expectations in check. Remember that you're going to have to lower your expectations for certain family members, and that's okay. But the more we can keep them realistic, or that we could reel in the unrealistic and make them more realistic, the easier it's going to be. If your sisters and brothers come to town and you start to feel a certain emotion, probably more on the negative end, then have a plan. Exit if you need to. Your well-being comes first. And one more thing about expectations. You do not have to be everything to everybody. If maybe an old family tradition was to, go out to the local pub for a couple of drinks before the holiday, it's okay to say no. You want to support your sobriety. You want to support your recovery. And you can be compassionate with your no's. You can tell brothers, sisters, best friends, hey, I'd love to hang out with you, but let's try something different this year. Let's start a new tradition, because right now these old habits, these old traditions, they're not serving me, and they're not helpful to me anymore. They're not in my best well-being, and right now I want to be the best version of me, and this doesn't include drinking or whatever the behavior used to be. 5, treat yourself. So that is all for the 5 tips to survive Thanksgiving sober. And I want to end by saying, thanks for listening. And I hope you have a great holiday. I started a Facebook group, and so you might want to check that out. It is a closed Atheists in Recovery group. You will have to message me, but I hope to see you there. We're going to be sharing a lot of things that we don't normally share in the other group. So thanks again, guys. Have a great holiday. Bye. Thank you for listening to the Atheists in Recovery podcast. For more great info and to stay up to date, head over to atheistsandrecovery.com.